Welcome back to the Playing Out Loud podcast. It is a drizzly but warm day in March, so snaps and claps to that. Today in studio, we have two of, I would say, the most flexible people we've had in studio so far. Maybe yes, maybe no.
I don't know what the comparison is.
Yeah.
Let's just say these two are more flexible than I am. We have two movement artists, choreographers, dancers, performers, and sword-wielding people in today's podcast. We have Anna Beard, welcome.
Thank you.
And we have Cameron Stefanski, welcome.
Thank you.
So let's dive in. You both have fascinating backgrounds, but you both do such wonderful things with choreography and teaching dance and all these nuances and have such great performing backgrounds. And especially, I have so many questions for you, Cameron, about the Young Americans program that we'll dive into too. Because I remember in high school seeing like posters like the Young Americans are coming. And then I'm like, oh my God, I know a Young American. This is amazing. So we're going to dive in.
Stories there, so.
Yeah. So Anna, your background is modern, ballet, and historical dance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You started at the tender age of 4.
Yes, I did.
Cute. I can only imagine. Tatiana, at age 4, dancing in Marquette, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And then you continued training here in Traverse City. I assume your family moved here and all that jazz.
Yeah, so there was a little bit of a gap there between Marquette and Traverse City where we lived overseas in the South Pacific. My dad was a Peace Corps director for the Solomon Islands, so we spent 4 years there. My access to dance was different, but my love was the same. And I actually was able to take classes with a young woman who was from the Solomon Islands, went to university in Australia, and when she would come home, she would run these little ballet classes in a Girl Guide hut, like Girl Scouts. And so I was able to keep dancing. And then when I came back to Traverse City about age 7, I started dancing in earnest.
Wow. What a trip for such a young person to go on.
Yes.
That must have influenced a lot of your interests, I would imagine, as you grew up.
Yeah, I have probably a maybe larger interest obsession with World War II because it was just everywhere.
Okay. Got it. Heard. Heard. All right. But when you were a teenager, you trained with the, and I hope I pronounced this right, Bishkek Ballet in Kyrgyzstan?
I lived in Kyrgyzstan for about 6 months when I was 17. Again, my dad was a Peace Corps director. So I had an opportunity to live abroad as a teenager, which at 17, when you're trying to figure out who you are and getting your place in the world, that definitely was huge. And I was really lucky enough to have connections and know people. And so I was able to go and take ballet classes with the National Ballet in Bishkek, which is the capital city in Kyrgyzstan, in 1997. So
good year.
Not long after the fall of the Soviet Union. So it was a little bit, it was a crazy just mesh of this place trying to figure out who they were and this 17-year-old trying to figure out who she is. And so I had minimal Russian. So I was doing a lot of like picking up by eye and trying to discern what French ballet terms sound like in a Russian speaking space. Yeah. So it was a lot, but it definitely shaped a lot of who I was at that time.
Wow, that's incredible. Wow. I'm like floored by that idea. All right. You eventually went on to study dance at the University of Michigan, where you got your Bachelor's of Fine Arts.
Yep.
Post-grad, you've taught in different studios around Dexter, Ann Arbor, but now you have your own dance company. Can you tell us a little bit about your dance company?
After I graduated from University of Michigan, I definitely taught in studios for quite some time. That's when I knew I'd been doing that since I was 15. And then at a certain point, I decided I needed a break from that environment for various reasons. And I started teaching dance solely to adults. And I started a dance company then actually called Oxworks Dance. And so we did a lot of site-specific work with like Huron River Day, and we would dance in the river on rowboats or whatever. And I did that for, 7 years. And then I moved to Austin, Texas. And so now I have what I hope grows into more of a dance company. I hope to find some performance opportunities, but it's just called Humans Moving Dance. And that's just what it is. It's just humans moving in whatever way makes them happy, whether it's very structured ballet or you're just improvising and being a tree.
I love it. Yeah. I love being a tree.
I love being a tree too.
The last week I've been more like a fallen log in the woods. covered in moss.
I was going to say growing moss and mushrooms and
Yeah.
stuff, though.
That's what it felt like. That's what being sick felt like. Just becoming one with the world. That's amazing. Okay, and so now this is a piece we're going to also chat about. You're co-owner of the Historical Weapons Guild.
Yes.
You fight with swords.
I do fight with
for
swords.
funs.
Yes,
For funsies.
absolutely for fun. Sometimes for glory, never for profit.
Sometimes for glory.
Yes. So while I was in Austin, I was introduced to this bright world out there called Historical European Martial Arts. HEMA. And I had spent a year in Austin. I had left the company that I had made, and I was feeling a little bit adrift in a new artist community. Austin is huge. And while there are lots of pockets, it's really hard to find your people. And I found myself very isolated. And so one of my very nerdy friends was like, you should just sword fight. And I was like, I did Olympic fencing once. It's not for me. Like, I appreciate you trying to like help me find myself in this like little patch of misery, but like, that doesn't seem helpful. And they were like, no, like long swords and stuff. And I was like, so you just Google historical swords and then you what? And he was like, yeah, just trust me, just do it. So I did. And I found a school and I took a class and I learned how to fight with longsword and dagger and messer. And I was like, this is the coolest shit ever. And I was really hooked. So there is a super fascination crossover with the dance world in that looking at it through the lens of like, what's the social context of what we're doing? And we're reading these books that are printed anywhere from like the 1300s up to the 1700s. My favorite is from 1570. So there's a lot of assumed information that they think we know that you're trying to pull out. And so by reading things like historical dance manuals or just being a general total history nerd, you're able to kind of suss out. And that fascinated me. And then like being able to practice like a technique, like you sit there and do a repetitious technique with ballet. Like I was totally hooked. And then there was like this moment where I swung a longsword at somebody and they swung a longsword at me and they met in the bind and I was doing all the things I'd been told and I felt insanely safe and I could feel in my body I was safe. And I was like, oh my God, more of this. Yeah.
I
So
love that.
here we are 7 years later, 2 schools, married to a swordsman. I'm up. Yeah. It's like past my eyeballs. I'm like several layers past myself deep into it now.
That, I gotta say, I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess that none of that was on your bingo card for life? Like finding swords?
Well, it was on my younger bingo card
Yeah?
for sure. Oh, yeah. Like reading Lord of the Rings and then reading this. I went back and read it again. It's an atrocious book, but at the time I was so into it. It was this awful book called Black Trillium, but it was about it was a fantasy book about 3 femme-identifying people who were just doing it. And I was like, that is so cool because I didn't have a lot of that in literature. We don't have a lot of that in kind of the high fantasy books. We do now, thank goodness.
Mhm.
But when I was younger, there were very few femme-identifying icons in the fantasy world, like Princess Leia, snaps, was it. But that was a different vibe. So young me was like, I'm gonna sword fight somehow. And then, I don't know, somewhere about probably 15, you're like, oh, that's not as real as I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of like to think that it was on my younger bingo card.
I might start calling you Xena.
I would not be sad about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we're gonna call you Xena.
So awesome.
All right. And then just some other little antidotes I'll add here. But you've taught workshops like Combat Con. You've developed week-long intensives around historical movement. You're certified facilitator in Liz Lerman's critical response process. And this fall, you're producing a fantasy ball here in Traverse City.
Yes.
Can you tell us just a little bit about what a fantasy ball is? What does that entail?
So I think it can be anything you want it to be. There are lots of different versions of fantasy balls out there. And it's kind of What experience do you want to craft? What I think a lot about when I'm making dances or I'm creating sword events or workshops, I really ask myself, like, what do I want someone to feel when they walk away from this? Or what opportunities do I want someone to have at this event? I'm very like, what is the user experience? Because when you make art, I ask myself, one of the very first questions is, who am I making it for?
Mm.
Sometimes you make it for yourself, and sometimes you make it for the community or others. So when I'm making events, I'm really looking outward. I want to pull people in, but I want to make space for them to have whatever experience. So for this fantasy ball, which I'm super excited about, it'll be produced under Northern Kingdom events, and it'll be at the City Opera House, which I think is one of the most beautiful
Mm.
buildings we have in Traverse City. And it's going to be an opportunity for you to step outside your normal life, immerse yourself however you choose. I want everybody to show up with main character energy to this sort of fantasy experience. There's going to be some dance instruction. It's not going to be like fantasy prom, which I love a good theme for like any sort of
Yeah.
time I get to put on a cute dress and dance around to circa early 2000s bar music. But it's going to be more, I want you to come and feel like I'm really pulling you into a little bit more of like a historical court experience. So we're all going to get to do set court dances, which you'll have time to learn. We're going to have some people presiding over that we're going to get to like vibe with these characters. So I really want people to come with their personas, even if your persona is, I am the like dark stranger in the corner that actually doesn't want to talk to anybody and just observe. Yes, do it. Come. There's going to be lots of dark corners for you to stand in and observe. Like, I just want people to really play, I think is what it comes down to, particularly grown-ups. I don't know that there are enough spaces in the world for grown-ups to really play and just escape and go back to like, what was your 8-year-old bingo card? Was it being a dark, mysterious stranger? Was it being the belle of the ball who just knows every court dance and is amazing? Like, so that's kind of the vibe. So there'll be food, there'll be drink, there'll be mix of music and cultivated bardcore-esque music for people to just come and play and have a good time and feel like you're a main character in whatever book you're imagining yourself in.
Wow.
So cool.
That is so cool.
I'm
Have you?
like
I've.
in a trance about it.
I know. I'm like,
It's also a Saturday morning. So.
coffee hasn't hit yet.
No.
Well, fantastic. That's exciting. I think Traverse City has never really seen anything like that before.
I mean, there is one that happens a little bit more north, and there is going to be one happening this summer at the Park Place, but it's very book centric
Okay.
about a specific book. I think it's about Akatar.
Okay.
But this one is really me creating what is the fantasy ball that I wanted to show up to and be able to. It's going to be a mix of like a little bit of LARP, a little bit of finding that, yeah, just giving yourself permission to be like, in my mind, I really am Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. And now here's an opportunity for me to wear that on the outside.
Yeah.
I feel like if I were going to go as a character, I would be Chauncey from T.J. Klune's book series. I would just be a little gloop glob, but a
bellhop.
bellhop gloop glob.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, that's such a good book.
so good. Fantastic. Thank you. Cameron,
Hi.
you're like a hi.
Hi.
You're like a multi is what I've decided to call you. You're a performer, choreographer, creative director, but also a multiple entrepreneur. So you have
Yes.
multiple businesses, but you also do multiple performing arts things. So I've decided to call you multiple squared or multiple.
I love it.
You know, people are like, as a triple threat. I'm like, have you heard of Six Threat? Like, meet Cameron. So you have been performing for a long time, really, since you were a kid, right?
Yes. So
What was your first show?
my first show was actually Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Not a light show.
No.
Just kind of a big thing to start with.
No, I was in, for the listeners, and maybe Anna knows the story, but there's a children's course that kind of like watches the narrator tell the whole story. So I was in that, but my aunt was in it, and so she got me into theater,
Okay.
told me about the audition, and I actually like bombed the audition, had like a panic attack because it was my first one, and
Sure.
they like were really sweet to me and consoled me, and I like left being like, there's no way this is happening. This is in the 3rd grade. And they ended up I don't know what happened, but I ended up getting cast in the show because it was not a good audition from what I can remember.
Aw.
But yeah, my mom was really cute, and she like called my teacher and had my teacher tell me in front of the class because I had been talking about it, I guess, for
Aw.
weeks. So
Aw.
that's a very ingrained memory, I guess. And that was at Avon Players in Rochester, Michigan, if
Yeah.
was familiar with
Oh,
the
yes.
theater.
All my extended family's
I grew
there.
up downstate in Clarkston, Michigan. So I did a lot of community and regional theater in and around like Rochester, Royal Oak, Clarkston, Waterford area
Yeah.
growing up. But dance is where it all started.
Yeah.
My close friend from preschool growing up, family friends, we both went to the same preschool, had Take Your Friend to Dance Day.
That sounds
in
like an
kindergarten.
amazing day.
And I was like, I knew it was happening. I'd had like a sleepover at her house, and like I was like, I have to go to this. I have to go to this.
Yeah.
So of course I went to it, and yeah, the rest is really history. After that, I don't even remember what type of dance it was. It was probably like ballet or jazz, something just like movement-esque. But yeah, that was in kindergarten. In first grade, I was in 3 classes: ballet, tap, and jazz. Then in second grade, I was in their gymnastics program at the studio, and I was on their like junior dance line competition team.
Wow.
I Deborah Stage Door, for those folks who might know studios in the Metro Detroit area. I danced there for a long time until I moved up north. But yeah, I really feel like I knew at a young age, like being on stage was my escape. It was my religion, if you will, I guess.
Yeah.
I like to call my art my religion or my sanctuary, my safe space.
Mm.
So it's very life-giving to me, and it has been since I was really little. My dad's parents built like a makeshift theater in their basement for me, and I would like put
Ooh.
on shows as like a young child with all my friends on the weekends. And my dad was my principal in middle school and high school. And so he had access to theaters at schools. And so he was a principal when I was young.
Mm.
So I would convince him to let us go in there on the weekends or on breaks and like perform on the stages just for fun. I
Aw.
was like orchestrating productions as like a child. It was crazy.
I love that.
But lots of fun. Yeah. And ever since I was in that first production, I really just went full throttle with it. I auditioned to be in Christmas Carol at Meadowbrook Theater, which is a regional professional theater. They've done Christmas Carol every year for like over 50 years. And
Yeah.
I did that for 5 or 6 years as a child actor. So I wasn't in school like October, November, and December. Had a tutor and was in the show. They did like 3 shows a day
Wow.
back then because they would have like the field trips come at 10 a.m. and then they do matinees and
Yeah.
performances and all that. So did that for a long time. And then I was also part of the Michigan Opera Theater children's chorus. So I did a couple operas down at the Detroit Opera House.
Tosca, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Tosca as a young kiddo. That being from what I can remember, I was obsessed with opera. And this is so funny. This is very timely because Timothy Chalamet made that comment
goodness.
about,
Yes.
I wouldn't want to work in ballet or
Boring.
opera because it's boring and whatever he said with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Yeah.
hate to be his publicist right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
yeah.
I have to say, I do love the life it's giving all of these opera and ballet
Oh,
companies
Yes.
they're
on social
using
media
it. They're
right now.
Oh,
using
so
it. Oh,
good.
it's fantastic.
I think the LA Opera posted
Yes.
something.
The
Yeah,
Met,
LA
was-
and Seattle Opera
and
were
the
like,
Met did too.
we're like, sorry, Timmy, we might not have seats for you. Basically,
Yeah, we're sold
Yeah.
out.
We're sold out.
So good.
It's dying, but with sold out. Thanks.
Yeah, I would hate to be his publicist right now. Anyway, yeah, so I started there, I guess, as a child. Obviously, my aunt was involved in the theater. My mom grew up dancing, though, so I'd like to think that I have dancer blood in me,
Mm.
if you will. She was in dance, was a point dancer, did all the different styles until she had me. And then when she had me, she was teaching Pilates and like adult dance classes at Deer Lake Racket Club. If anyone knows Deer Lake Racket Club in Clarkston. Apparently when I was like 1, I was like in the car seat bobbing along in the water Pilates class.
Aw,
yeah.
that's so cute. Just a tiny camera and just
Yeah.
boop.
But I think like I have such an affinity for being a multi-dimensional artist because of, I have wonderful parents who like let me find out what I wanted to do. I did sports in elementary and middle school. I did cross country, track, soccer, tennis. Like they just, whatever I wanted to do in the moment, they let me do. If I wanted to quit, I could quit. If they wanted me to see through a season, but like if I didn't want to do it anymore, fine, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
They really let me explore and invested in that. And I'm really privileged to have had those opportunities. So I just like to call that back because
Mm.
I really did have a wonderful childhood in that regard, and not everyone gets that access. So that's an important part of the work I do now. But yeah, I then went to Western Michigan University for 2 years to get my associates because I did not get into their musical theater program, actually.
Oh,
And I was still really wanting to.
yeah.
So I went and thinking like that was the end all be all school. It ended up not being the end all be all school. And I got into the Young Americans.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like
Yeah.
the audition process or your experience? Like, I'm wildly fascinated by
Yeah.
that.
It's really interesting, actually. So I went to Western Michigan for 2 years, and then I took a gap year or just a year off. And my parents were living up in Gaylord, so I lived at home, and I was teaching dance at a studio. And I was also serving at the time at Applebee's, actually. Fun. And teaching dance. And I had a table one night who they were like, it was a mother and her daughter, and they were just like obsessed with me. They're from Boyne City. And the mother at the time was working in Gaylord for an oil executive, and she just loved me. And she like tracked me down somehow. Someone at work gave her my phone number, which is illegal, and like
Oh my
wanted to
gosh.
hire me as her executive assistant. So fast forward, I'm working for her at this oil and gas company, which is so random, but it's where I started my professional, you know,
Yeah.
career, I guess, if you will, learning how to work in an environment like that in an office. And her daughter went to Boyne City Schools and the Young Americans came. So she was like, oh, you should come to the show. You should come to the show, blah, blah, blah. And she knew that like me being in Northern Michigan was not a thing. Like, I feel like she really knew that. So she set up an audition for me behind my back with the director that was like with the touring cast at that point.
What?
And just like kind of pushed me into it.
What?
Yeah, it was
What?
crazy.
She like lovingly stage mommed you a little.
Yeah. And it wasn't, I had a couple friends from when I lived in Clarkston and at Western who were like, oh, you should do it. We're going to go do it next year. We're not staying at Western. And I was like, that's like, gotta move to LA and gotta do this whole thing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I really want to be in Western MT program. And I'm auditioning again.
So
And I was
sold.
so ready. I thought that was like the answer to all my prayers. But yeah, I ended up getting in. It was really, I distinctly remember this, that there was 3 men auditioning and we all had a name that started with a C. So random, most random audition, but it went really well. And I got in. I moved to California the following year. So that was 2013. But the audition process is they just have you sing a song and then showcase anything that you like, if you play an instrument, if you dance. So I did like a little combo and that was it. It was pretty low key. Like it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I think that at the time they also did like video submissions and different things like that and probably auditions on their campus in Southern California. But yeah. And I knew the director because I had done workshops with him in Gaylord and in Clarkston when they had come around and on tours. So
Okay.
at the time, they had just got accredited as a performing arts college. So they had, the Young Americans College of Performing Arts had an associate's degree and then a partnership with North Central Michigan College because the Young Americans originated in Petoskey, Michigan and Harbor Springs.
Oh.
So they have like deep roots in Harbor Springs. And so they, back when it was Petoskey College, back in the 60s and 70s, they had like a summer theater program. And that's kind of where Young Americans, the touring, they would tour musicals all over the country, and they were like on the Ed Sullivan Show, and they did like all these big, they have a huge relationship with like Barry Manilow and did like a lot of his like backup stuff and
Wow.
tons of different things. And so before the college, they had this music outreach, performing arts outreach touring company where you go, you have like a 1-act show, variety show, if you will, and you do the show either in front of a community or in a school's theater or what have you. And then in the second act, you teach the kids a show and you do the show with them on stage together. And it's teaching them all about like the art of performing and how anyone can do it. You put your mind to it, that kind of mantra. And so I did that. It's all volunteer though. So they pay for everything, but you're not compensated.
Okay.
So I had all these amazing experiences for the time that I did it.
Yeah.
Went to Japan, all over Europe, China, Canada, all over the US,
Wow.
United Kingdom. So I got to work with lots of different walks of life, demographics, teach them music, which is such a music and performing, and which I believe is such a universal language. So, for example, a story that really like hits me is I was in Germany in the fall of 2015. And that was when Germany had been really accelerating their refugee program from folks from the Middle East.
Okay.
And so I got to work with a nonprofit there that helped resettle folks from like different, like from Iran and Iraq and all these different countries in the Middle East. And they did not speak a lick of English, right? And they were terrified because they had just been taken out of like war zones. And I worked with this kid who was like the light sunshine of like anything you could possibly imagine. I have a photo with him and I have like it printed in a frame because it's like incredible. But he was at the time was 8 years old, and his father and all his siblings were killed, and his mother and him fled to Germany.
Okay.
From Iran. And our cast didn't find out this story until like closer to the show. So we work with the schools for like 2 days, and then we do the show on the third day. And we all found out like before the show, and it like made the show like so powerful because we were just like, wow, this kid just went through this like a couple weeks ago. And like,
devastating.
Yeah. So that was like a part of that work and journey and figuring out myself as a performer and a teacher and trying to decide like, what do I want to do with my art. And I think it was a really hands-on experience, whereas like if I was in a musical theater program or a dance program, that I wouldn't have had those experiences until after school, maybe. Or maybe not at all. So that really pushed me to think really hard about like, do I want a professional career in the arts, or do I want to be an educator? Do I want to be a creative? Because of just like all the logistics work I also did as a business manager for the Young Americans and merch manager. And so I learned a lot about like arts administration and all those kind of things. So also during that time, this is where all the multi-hyphenate stuff comes in.
Okay.
I'm a big storyteller, so I'm just like,
I'm like, this is great. I don't have to ask you anything.
Yeah, I could sit and talk all day. I love to learn about people and also share my story and like learn how I can connect with other people. Like my mind's already twirling about your ball.
Yeah. We're stuck on the ball, and I'm like, swords.
So
if you could see, I am like waggling my eyebrows and wiggling in my seat. That's shared.
Your jaw has also dropped about as many times as mine.
Yeah, I'm trying to be respectful, but also like others, like on the inside, I'm like, what? Oh my God. Like reactions.
So did you start with 989 Creative, or what did you start with? Entrepreneurial wise.
I started my entrepreneurial journey during COVID.
Like so many of us.
Yes. At the time, this is actually a good segue. I worked for a performing arts training company organization in New York called Frenchwood's Festival of the Performing Arts. It is quite similar to Interlochen's summer camp and quite similar to the size of Interlochen's campus, but just a summer program in upstate New York in the Catskills. And so I went there as a kid, fortunately, for 2 years, and I fell in love with it. Have tons of friends from there. Never really pictured myself going back to work there as a camp counselor. And then when I had a friend who did it from camp, and then they convinced me, and then I ended up working there for 7 years and 3 years full time.
Wow.
So
that's how you get in, I guess.
Yeah. So, for example, I was like in the Young Americans touring during the school year. And then in the summers, I'd work in New York. And then I'd go back to California and go out on tours and for several years. And then in 2017, French Woods was like one of their senior staff members had a heart attack. And they were like, hey, we need someone to be in this job like yesterday. So I started working with them full time because I wasn't quite sure what I was doing. I had an associate's degree and a lot of performing arts training, but I was like, what's next? So I did that, worked in programming. So I got to like build all the curriculum and build all the programs, different departments at the camp. And so did that for a long time. And they also have a nonprofit arm where they raise money for art scholarships for their students to go to higher education. So I did that for a long time as well. And then in COVID, they shut down for like 14 months. They couldn't do camp for a whole summer and they didn't need me anymore, I guess, which is tough. But they were really nice and hired me on as a contractor to do some work to keep the nonprofit and the scholarships kind of running because schools were still happening, colleges were still happening. But yeah, they reopened and they're fully booming again and all that. And I have such great relationships with them still, but I wanted to like chart my own path and do my own thing. And so I started during COVID, I founded a platform called the Rainbow Cloud Project, which stemmed from a class that I took, which I haven't even got to this story yet, but I did go back to school to get 2 degrees in 2018 up until COVID. I graduated in 2020 on Zoom. It was a little wild, but in May of 2020.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was sitting there like, all these theaters are shut down. I can't do anything. And I had done this project where I had to make a mock digital advocacy social campaign or social movement type thing. It was a part of like one of my marketing and business courses. And so I came up with the Rainbow Cloud Project. And so it's kind of like your podcast a little bit, but it was interviews, like blog posts of people and their stories. And it had a centralized mission of bringing allies and LGBTQ folks together during COVID and just giving them a safe space to like have community, whether that was like in a group chat or on a Zoom call.
Mm.
We did like courage cocktail hours, and I made stickers and just like raised money for different like Black Lives Matter and like
Yeah.
just all those things that were going on in 2020. Just kind of like staying connected to something. I was like, oh, I'm like building this brand on my own. And from some experiences in that, I got freelance jobs doing social media management and blog writing and all these different things. And so they just kept coming in. And I was like, I don't know if I want to freelance. Like I could make this into a whole brand. So that is where 989 Creative Group was inspired.
Mm.
That is my marketing and design agency that I'm currently doing
Yeah.
today, full time. That's my gig. And yeah, I do that. And I also last year founded Thespian Travel, which is how do I explain this? No. We curate travel experiences, boutique travel experiences for folks who love to go to the theater. So that could mean anything from going to a show down in Grand Rapids or in Detroit to going to New York and you want your whole trip planned because you've never been and it's overwhelming to you, or going on a group trip to New York City to see Broadway shows and eat at wonderful places with people, or go to London to the West End and do those kind of things. Yeah, so I'm in the midst of building it and building it out and reaching new people, and I'm really excited. It's something I haven't seen
No.
out there,
No.
like travel planning for the arts.
Yeah, I love it.
Because again, it's going back to that access thing.
Mm-hmm.
While it is expensive to travel to see the arts, there are affordable ways to do it. And regardless of the affordability of it, I think like folks who are maybe not as like appreciative of the arts, getting them to meet people who are. And like now they have this new community of people.
Yeah.
That like maybe they wouldn't have had if they didn't go see a show. Or maybe they're a theater geek and they want to see every single show possible. So
check.
It's kind
ding,
of that
ding.
spectrum.
Subscribed.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm trying to figure out the user experience. User experience is so important to me.
Yeah.
I absolutely, as a marketer and design human, I cannot stand when a brand doesn't have their user experience together. Whether it's digital, analog, if you don't have a process, even if it's a simple one, like that just grinds my gears.
I have a user request.
Yes.
If you were to plan a trip
Yeah.
to the Shakespeare Festival in Canada, I would be.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That is on.
To just go and be with a group of people who are super excited about it, who just want to go and sit and watch Shakespeare.
Yes, that is on my list.
Yes. Okay, cool.
And so is Alan Cumming has a theater in Scotland.
Sounds right.
I forget the name of it,
him.
but I also want to plan a trip there because it looks stunning.
I mean, Scotland. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about swords.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I watched their season announcement and it's like insane. I'm like, well, that's one we got to keep looking at. And I've gone to the Muni in St. Louis and I think everyone should go there. It's like the Super Bowl of musical theater.
Wow.
It is the largest outdoor amphitheater in the country and they produce like shows that are better than Broadway.
Yeah.
Like scale, budget, and it's all outside.
Love it.
It's like the Disney Worlds too. Like they have like every kind of snack stand and restaurant all around you. It's like a gorgeous campus.
But cheaper and better barbecue.
Yeah. Yes.
On his face again.
Yeah, I'm like,
jaws dropped.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Love it. I could talk about theater outside of just like New York or tours. I think people forget that like great art can be created anywhere at any scale or size.
Fully agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I think going back to dance since.
Yeah. Do you still teach? Or like, you both have talked about teaching, but like in different areas. You do choreography in town mostly, right?
Yeah.
You're choreographing currently Drowsy.
Yes.
Right? And you've done how many others? Like at least a few others.
I did. What did I do? I was on stage recently in Rocky Horror. I played Eddie, and I was in the ensemble in the second act because I got killed in the first act. Came back to life. And got killed. Spoiler if you haven't seen it. Lots of blood. Anyway, which was so fun. But I choreographed Prince of Egypt last summer.
Waitress, right?
yes.
Yeah.
I did that with Kendall Kocher. I assistant directed and choreographed that, and that was, I think, one of my most favorite movement pieces.
Yeah.
Because
It was delightful. I cried.
It was beautiful too, I'll just say, because I think a lot of times, sometimes, maybe not a lot, but sometimes some choreographers, like, you're so used to seeing another production's choreography, right? And it's hard for you to like not do that, not copy that. But I really thought that like what y'all put together specifically for the choreography was so intuitive and new. And like, I felt like I was watching such a high quality production with all the elements coming together, including choreography. And I was like, I'm glad this isn't a mimic of the it shouldn't be, right? Like
No.
that's also like copyright infringement, but like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I loved that. And I
Yeah.
thought it was so intuitive to the story that was being told. So just
Yeah.
bonus points on my end.
Thanks. Yeah, I choreograph shows mostly. I haven't taught in Traverse City. I've taught in Gaylord, taught downstate, and then with Young Americans. But I also love to direct. I love to do costume. I love to just like be immersed in theater. I also just love to go sit in a theater and watch a show and not be a part of it.
I know. That's a thing that I feel like as a big theater person, like it's so thrilling to be in a show, right? Like it's very life-giving. And I think sometimes we do that and we do it on repeat for like a show. But that like burns us out. And then you got to stop and be like, it's so fulfilling to go see a show or to go see ballet or to go see opera, sham. Like it's just as, for me, I think it's just as life-giving to watch somebody else create and see how you feel with that and resonate and like how that fills your cup as an artist.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I love the Thespian Travel Company, because I'm like, it encourages people to have dynamic experiences that are not just in your little box.
Yeah.
It's like, go outside, go to St. Louis, go to Chicago. Yeah, New York is great. I go there like twice a year. Like, you know, Canada, hey, let's go. Let's get some poutine. Let's go, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love all of that. I wanted to ask real quick though about teaching. So you teach a few classes in town
I do
now.
teach a few classes in town. So I teach specifically for adults, and I teach an atypical dance experience because we are lucky enough in Traverse City to have a lot of art. And there are a few different dance studios if you want a very traditional dance studio experience that you can go to. So I teach ballet and modern dance and historical dance, and then also swords. But the ballet class that I teach came out of my experiences being a mother and having two kids, and my life schedule was no longer exactly my own. And it was very hard for me to make the time to go and take dance as a student and then be able to do it consistently. And then also feeling like I was in my community. So, as a mother of two who's still an artist and really struggling to find, like, how does the world permit me to be a mother and still an artist? Like, because it really kind of tells you once you choose one, you cannot do the other. So, I could go take dance class and all the love in the world to young, bright 17-year-olds who were like, this summer, I'm going to go to Joffrey. And I'm like, girlfriend, I had puke on me earlier today, and it is a miracle that I am showered and in this room right now. We're not the same.
Yeah.
And not that I don't appreciate that young artist journey. It was just not a space that I felt was for me. So I was like, where's the space? And I didn't see one. So I made it. So I started renting my own space and teaching a ballet class called Ballet for People Who Have Shit to Do. And it was only an hour, and it took away choreography, it took away turns, it took away jumps. You're just doing bar and you're doing center work, and you're getting all the technique, all the etiquette, all of the historical context of why we're doing what we're doing, but taught in a way where it's concept based for class. So today we're talking about turnout. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about like rotation. So you could come and consume one class and walk away, but not feel like I can't because my child is sick, or I just want to sit under my blanket and rewatch my comfort show because I just don't feel like I can face the world, and not feel like you were giving up money and then having to find another spot in your schedule to then do a makeup, or feeling like you were missing out on material because now you were going to be behind. So creating a dance experience where people of all levels, you could just be starting out, you could be returning like me, or a professional passing through and it's just like, I just want to chill bar. Because the beautiful thing about ballet in particular is that you can work at whatever level you want. It's all the same. We're all doing pliés, we're all doing tendus. If you are just in the space where you're like, do I have 2 feet? That class is for you. But if you're in the space where it's like, oh my God, I'm sweating after my 3rd plie because I'm like in it and I'm doing all of these internal machinations of my body. So yeah, I did that for a long time, and it was incredibly rewarding to have people show up in my dance class. I was also taking classes and teaching at an aerial studio in Ann Arbor. So I was partnering with a lot of circus arts performers and helping, like, facilitating their work through ballet, helping them look more beautiful in the air. And then also partnering with artists in helping them craft their works and craft their acts. And it was incredible to have people come through who would say, my favorite phrase to hear was, I hated ballet and then I took your class. Or people who would say, I wanted to dance when I was young and then I got too old. And to that, I say bullshit. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Dance is for everyone. If you think that you belong in that room, you should go in that room.
Yeah.
However, rooms are very intimidating. And I love to tell people that if I describe my job to you as a ballet teacher, it is, I would like you to come into my room in revealing clothing where I will tell you what you're doing wrong for an entire hour. That's not a great sell.
No,
Yeah.
it's like when you get asked, you need your picture taken. So many people don't want to have their picture taken. It's
Yeah.
like the same feeling.
Yeah, where you're like,
because
"Oh."
they're
Yeah.
made, it's the environment is stiff and it's uncomfortable and it feels judgy and it's sterile and it doesn't leave room for your bloody personality.
There's also mirrors everywhere. So
Yeah.
because I was doing it on a shoestring, I was renting spaces that didn't have mirrors. And that was a fascinating experience because now you have to trust me or you have to feel it. So not looking at yourself and judging yourself and all of that internalized body dysmorphia rising to the surface because now you're in a room where you can't see yourself and I'm telling you, that looks amazing. And you either believe me or you don't. So it's really about building trust. So I loved doing that. I was unable to get my feet under me with that same mission in Austin. I taught in space, like I've never stopped teaching. So I taught in spaces in Austin as well. I taught in aerial spaces. I taught in pole studios. And it was lovely to meet people. And I love bringing ballet as you don't have to go all in. Like, you don't have to decide, I'm going to go to the New York City Ballet. You can just do ballet because you want it to help something else, even if that is just walking down the street. Ballet can bring a body awareness to you that is helpful wherever you go.
Yeah.
So then when I came back to Traverse City, well, I started teaching ballet in my sword space in Austin, actually, and found this bizarre crossover of humanity that was like, I want to hit people with swords, but also look beautiful. So, and also finding people who are super interested in the historical aspect of dance because dance and sword fighting are hand in hand in hand and they reference each other in the historical sources. And so I've discovered this whole community through historical sword fighting where people were like, instead of me being like, excuse me, can I please talk to you about ballet for a minute? And having someone go, Timothy Chalamet. I had people going, so tell me more about this footwork. And I'd be like, oh my God, like, am I dead? Like, is this heaven? People want me to talk about ballet all day, every day. And so I started developing workshops called Ballet for Sword Fighters. And so where I was like, coming at it with a knowledge of both worlds. So I would give people, I was sneaking in some like modern dance and like body awareness and body mechanics. And then we would do a straight little bit of ballet bar. And then I would say, okay, friends, here are the places that like ballet and sword fighting really connect. And it was like, just felt like a rock star, like in a workshop room with like 50 people in it, all going like, yes, give me more pliés. And I was like, I don't know what timeline I've woken up in, but I really like it. So yeah, like I have continued down that path. And then historical dance is something I started here in Traverse City when I was a teenager. So this was something when I went to college, I was like, oh, maybe Traverse City is not like other places. Because I was like, yeah, you guys, like when then you go to all your magical dinners at Christmas time and people were like, what is a magical dinner? And I was like, what do you mean? It's like where you listen to like choral music, like historical, and people dress up and there's like really good food. And people were like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's a little different, I guess.
Yeah.
But we used to do Renaissance dance at those. There was a Renaissance fair way back in 1997 in Traverse City. It was a fundraiser. And yeah, we performed at the Michigan Renaissance Festival. So I've loved historical dance. As a little kid, like if you had asked me who my favorite dancer was, I was going to give you the name of a ballerina who'd been dead for a couple hundred years. That was me. It was like a little kid. And then learning historical dance, loved it, have never stopped doing it, and then really started doing it in earnest at the sword school. And I did a workshop, and my students at the sword school in Austin, I was like, hey, I'm going to guinea pig this on you guys, like, and I'm going to take it out. And they were like, well, why do the away kids get all the fun? Don't you love your sword kids at home? Why can't you have sword dance for your sword kids all the time? And so I was like, oh, you guys want historical dance on the regular? And they were like, yes. So we started doing historical dance on the regular, and it's been incredible to like expand my repertoire of knowledge and like extend a little bit beyond the timeline of what I knew. And so I'm still doing that, and it is so fun. I don't think there's any way personally that you can time travel faster than skipping in a circle with a group of people while you're all trying to remember a dance, because it is such a basic human reaction when you were holding hands with someone and you stumble to giggle. And I just go, and I always like, I tear up whenever I teach because I'm like, you guys, we're doing it. Like, we are the humans that we are emulating. This experience right now is as close to as what actually happened you can get to. And it's just like, I'm getting goosebumps just like
Yeah.
talking about it. So I love teaching historical dance. So I do everything from like late Renaissance now up through Regency. So, and
Wow.
I keep poking at Baroque dance, but it is so complicated. So it's hard to teach in that in the environment I have now because it's just straight up ballet at that point. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
Incredible.
mhm.
You both have just such a fascinating story. I wanted to ask maybe one or two little questions before we jump into our fun final rapid fire. But I'm curious for both of you, like, and maybe we'll just kind of hyper focus on this region. What do you think is the most challenging thing about dance? And maybe we'll narrow it down to adults. What are the challenges you see with adults in dance? Is it cultural, social influences? Is it body dysmorphia? Is it the pressure? I'm just kind of curious because I don't see a lot of adults dancing these days. It's lots of kids, which is great, but I just don't see a lot of, and I know we know people from like auditions and stuff. They're like, I suck at dance. I can't do this. This audition's going to suck. You know, they're very insecure and things about that. So I'm just kind of curious, like, what you think some of the challenges are for adults in dance these days.
I think it comes down to permission. Adults do not give themselves permission. At a certain point in dance education, you see the fearlessness fade and the internal voice get louder. And for adults, it is very hard to turn down that voice. We are driven as adults to, oh, you love to craft, you should monetize that. Or were you productive today? And everything needs to have like a goal set or an end point. And doing something purely for pleasure feels like a guilty pleasure. And so there's no construct around you should just dance for the sake of dance because then they're like, well, what's the point of that? Right. Or they won't allow themselves. So I think that it comes down to how do you get someone to give themselves permission? And it's that idea of trust. If I can start to build trust with someone where I say, if you walk into my space, you will be safe, it'll be inclusive, it'll be welcoming, it'll be a play space. I think that it is that. If you can build trust with someone, then they can give themselves permission because they trust the process and the space in you. And how you build that trust, like purely on the surface, is, and like you were kind of talking about this a little bit too, which is like you have to make a culture. You have to have a clear idea of what kind of a room you're creating before you welcome someone in. And so you do that with social media, marketing, statements. What does your space look like? When you walk into my space here in Traverse City, you will see giant pride flags. You will see a land acknowledgement. You will see a code of conduct that says no harassment. And we have a culture of teaching in our space that backs all of that up. So, from one class experience, hopefully someone goes, oh, I trust this space. I trust these people. Maybe I'll start to trust myself and give myself permission to just exist and have fun.
I
So
love it.
that's
Yeah.
kind of what I see around adults in particular.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
I wholeheartedly agree with all of that. And I also, piggybacking off of that, I think with permission comes vulnerability. And I think our society and us as adults has really found ourselves far away from tapping into vulnerability. That's why I love my arts people and my theater people and dance folks because they're willing to give themselves the permission to just like exist in who they are in that moment, regardless of like anything else. Even if it's the hardest thing for them to leave what they experienced that day at the door, like they are wanting to get out of their head. And I think that's the hardest thing, like that voice inside our head as adults is just so rampant all the time about, at least for me, like 47 voices and, you know, I have 200 tabs open now. But like, I think it's a lot about vulnerability, but in dance, adults can be very fearful of how they are presenting, either how their body looks, how they move, you know, whether they're getting, some people get really wrapped up in like, in auditions, I always say, like, just plow through. Like, don't, if you mess up, don't let it, like, just play it off. Like, I'm not worried about you getting things perfect. Like, that is no one, first of all.
Yeah.
And this isn't the space for that. Space is to have fun, even if it's an audition. And same thing goes with rehearsals or classes. Like in art, you peel the layers as you go. And I think we don't tap into those layers. Or as adults in society, we are like too afraid to show those layers.
Yeah.
And I think kids have, you know, God bless them, but they don't know yet. And so that's why I think as adults, it's so important to play and to just explore, even if it's like you take a dance class once, you know?
Yeah. It sounds like too, from what both of you shared, that like if someone in their 40s, 50s who has never taken a dance class but wanted to, like the piece of advice you might give them is like just allow yourself, to be vulnerable, give yourself permission to show up to a class.
Yeah.
And just experience it.
Yeah, because with fear comes courage.
Absolutely.
Also, like, don't be afraid to like shop around essentially for your community, because your community will matter. So if you take a class somewhere and you go, this didn't feel right, then that's probably correct. It's not you hating dance. You might just not feel comfortable in that community.
Yeah.
So try places or look for places that tell you very much who they are right up front. And so your community, as you explore being vulnerable and peeling back layers and building trust in yourself, will be the cornerstone of what makes or breaks that experience.
Yeah.
So find one that feels good.
Yeah. I love it. We have gone through so much today, and I feel like we could do this for another 2 hours because you both are so fascinating. But I do want to wrap us up with our rapid fire, where we'll get quick answers, hopefully. Don't worry about explaining it. So it's like, I know. We're adults, right? We just talked about this of
We're
like,
gonna boo-ray right through these.
yeah, we have a hard time not justifying our answers. Just
I'll
saying
say
an
Jarlsberg
answer.
cheese and just stop. Just won't.
Cheese.
Yeah.
This
Good
might actually be
Midwestern.
challenging for me since I like to talk so much.
You're good. Everyone does. Everyone gets like a deer in the headlights. I'm like, it's okay. We're not solving world hunger. It's okay. I promise. This is not a math test. This is
Or if
not
we
a
did,
math
the
test.
answer would be cheese.
Yeah, cheese. It's always cheese. The answer is cheese. More cheese. Okay, I'm going to give the question and then I'll look and then we'll just kind of go through it. So you'll both answer the same question around the same time. Sound good? Okay. All right. Your favorite style of dance?
Modern.
Ballet.
Acing it so far. Favorite choreographer?
Debbie Allen.
Angèle Prajokaj.
Right. Favorite place to dance?
In the Rain.
In the woods.
I love you both. Favorite performance ritual, like backstage, prepping, whatever.
Sour Candy.
I need a good squeezy hand jump and saying Mared.
Love it. Favorite thing to do in Michigan outside of the performing arts?
Upper Peninsula. Anywhere.
The woods, anywhere.
You nailed it. You guys nailed it. I think this is the first one. 10 out of 10. Extra gold stars with stick, all of it. Amazing. This has been so fantastic. And I think both of your stories are so fascinating and that they're not typical. They're not what we think of like, oh, you went to school for ballet from like age 4 through 12 and you did all the things, right? All the boxes. Like you both have these phenomenal dynamic experiences that are not repeatable and they make you such great artists that are welcoming. And like there's a reason that you're asked to choreograph and there's a reason that people want to come dance with you and sword fight. There's things like you're both such great artists and I'm so glad that you're able to share with our audience all of your awesomeness. And I look forward to seeing Drowsy and the Fantasy Ball and whatever else you guys do here in the coming weeks, months, whatever. But thank you both so much for being on today.
Thank you for having me.